have a Gucci wallet, you have a Gucci purse, and you're wearing all these fancy clothes, and yet you don't have the money to invest? 88% of millionaires were self-made. Your income, whether it's from your job or your business, it's not going to make you rich. Your investments are what will make you wealthy and rich. What's up, everybody? I am Jaspreet Singh from theminorityMindset.com, where money minds rethink rich. If you are in your 20s and you're trying to figure out what you should be doing with your money right now, that way you can build wealth for your 30s and your 40s and your 50s, well, you're in the right place, because in this video, I'll put together some of our best clips that will help you understand the things that you should be doing with your money right now. That way you can become wealthy and live the life that you dream about. So let's get into it. The media loves talking about why millennials are financially screwed because millennials spend all their money on AirPods and Lululemon leggings and extra guac at Chipotle. But there's more to the story than that. I mean, on one hand, we have a higher cost of living. That's why your housing prices and your rent payments keep going up. We have a higher standard of living, and we have wages that aren't keeping up. That's a very bad combination when people are trying to save money to buy a home. It's very hard when people are trying to save money for retirement, and it's very hard when people are trying to save money to build their own wealth when the cost of everything around you keeps growing way faster than how much money you're making. That might partially be why the average millennial is only worth $8,000. They're still relying on their parents for money. They have very little money in their savings, and they have next to nothing saved up in their investment accounts. Let me show you what I mean by looking at some average numbers so you understand the average millennial. Now, I know if you're subscribed to the Minority Mindset YouTube channel, the goal is not to be average, but for the sake of this example, let's look at the average millennial, because the average person between the ages of 25 to 34 is currently making a salary of $47,736 a year. This is the median salary between people between the age of 25 and 34. And you got to understand, this also includes people who are doctors, who are professionals, who are attorneys making a lot of money. So that can kind of skew this number up, because you have professionals and you have people who don't have a college degree all kind of wrapped up in this number. But the average person between the ages of 25 and 34 is making just over $47,000 a year. But you don't get to keep all of this money, right? I mean, the IRS, the government wants their cut. And so if you are living in an average tax state, so assuming you're not living in New York or California where you have very high taxes, you will be paying something like $9,500 a year in taxes on this, which would leave you with right around $38,500. I know I'm rounding a little bit here, but this is how much money you will be left with every single year, assuming you're making an average salary. I just cleaned this off to make it a little bit easier to see, but you have $38,500 a year to play with, which is right around $3,200 a month. Now, the first cost everybody's got to pay is you got to pay for your housing. The average apartment, one bedroom apartment in the United States, is $1,200 a month. So if you're an average millennial, you might be living at a $1,200 a month apartment, plus adding another $100 or so for utilities. That's your gas, your electric, your water. I'm being kind of conservative here. So your housing costs right around $1,300 a month. Then you got to pay for your car, and the average person has a car payment. Now, if you go out and you finance a brand new car, it's going to cost you like $550 a month. That's the average price for a brand new car. So I'm going to assume that you're a little bit conservative here, and you're going out and you are financing a used car. The average payment on a used car is $380 a month. Add in your insurance and your gas, and let's assume that you're paying $450 a month for your car payment, your insurance, and your gas. Now, in order for you to get this good salary, chances are you went to college to get a degree, and if you're like the average millennial, you didn't have tens of thousands of dollars in your bank account to fund your college education, so you went into debt with student loans to fund your college degree, which is why the average student loan payment is $393 a month. Then you gotta pay for your extra guac at Chipotle, you gotta pay for your avocado toast, and you gotta pay for your Starbucks. The average millennial is spending like $140 a month on eating out, and then another $185 a month on groceries, which adds up to right around $325 a month on food. By the way, this is assuming that you're not shopping at Whole Foods paying $11 for organic soy milk. Then if you're like the average millennial, you have a smartphone which you're financing, and then you got to pay for your phone plan, and then all the subscriptions for the apps on your phone like Netflix and Hulu and Spotify. So that, I'm assuming you are now conservative with this, because many people are paying more than $200 a month just on their subscriptions, not including their phone payments. But I'm going to assume that you're conservative, which is why your phone plan and all the media that you're consuming is is costing you $180 a month. By the way, I threw your internet costs in here too because no millennial, myself included, can survive without Wi-Fi, and this leaves me with your health costs. This is your health insurance, your gym membership, and whatever else you're spending on to take care of your health. This is costing you, on average, something like $300 a month. Let me throw one more cost in there too, because if you are a millennial, chances are you've heard of people investing in their 401k, and if you're trying to get ahead in the investing game, let's assume that you're putting 3% of your gross income. So not your $38,500, the gross income, the $47,000 that you're making, you're putting 3% of that into your 401k, which is another $120 a month. I don't know why I wrote month for these three but not the others, but you get the idea. If we add all these expenses up, your expenses every month are gonna cost you $3,068 a month, which means you have less than $140 a month every month to pay for your savings, to pay for your investments outside of your 401k, to pay for your vacations, to pay for your birthdays, to pay for your baby showers, to pay for gifts for your mom, and to pay for everything else. And this is assuming that you've been smart with your money and you have no credit card debt, because the average millennial has something like $4,800 worth of credit card debt, and I couldn't factor that average credit card debt into this, because now if you had an average credit card debt payment, then you wouldn't have enough money to even pay your bills. Believe it or not, these are what the average financials look like for the average millennial who went to college to get a good job because they're making a good salary, but all of their money is going out. And I'm being a little bit conservative here, because I'm assuming you're not driving a brand new car, I'm assuming you don't have $200 in just subscriptions like some people do, and I'm assuming that you never racked up any credit card debt. And these average numbers will explain why the average millennial struggles to save up for a down payment on a home, why it's so hard for a millennial to save up a savings account, and why it's so hard for people to start investing their money outside of the 401k, because the average millennial just doesn't have a lot of money left over after paying for all these average expenses. This doesn't mean that all hope is lost. I'll get to that in just a minute, but this is where we have to kind of really make a decision, because yeah, we can blame this problem on society, we can blame this problem on the government, we can blame this problem on the Federal Reserve Bank, but none of these things really solve the issue of what's going on. So we gotta really understand what is causing this, because there is obviously an issue of wages not growing fast enough. There's an issue of our cost of living rising very quickly, but there's more to it than that. There's a little bit of a cultural issue involved here too. Over the years, we've seen a huge growth in people spending money on things that they don't need. But this trend is not slowing down. It is only intensifying, and it is getting even more difficult for the average millennial to break out of the system because of this culture, and now all the kind of tools that are coming in, which make it even easier for you to buy something now and worry about the price later. The average millennial does not have a bunch of cash in the bank account to go out and buy big things or expensive things or nice things or even smaller things nowadays, which is why we've seen a huge boom in the whole industry of buy now, pay later, or as we like to call it here, broke now, broke later. First, it was credit card debt, because everybody would get a credit card, and if you didn't know how to use your credit card the right way, then you could easily rack up credit card debt. But I think people have become a little bit more aware as to the dangers and risks of credit cards if you don't know how to use it the right way. But now it's getting even worse with the growth of these buy now, pay later systems. Companies like Afterpay and Affirm and PayPal, which allow you to buy now and pay for whatever you buy later, have been booming, and they expect to do something like $1 trillion of transactions by just 2025. The real scary thing about these platforms is that they're so new, so most people, the average person, does not understand the dangers and the risks and the costs associated with them like we do with credit cards. Because the way they work is you go shopping online, you find this new wardrobe, you find this new sweater that you want to buy, and you go to the checkout page, and then it says, do you want to pay for this sweater later? Because now all you got to do is pay for this $80 sweater in 3 installments, and you don't even realize the small interest that you're going to pay on it. And so all you got to do is click that button, because these platforms just integrate with all these e-commerce stores, so you can buy whatever you want and just pay for it later. And now everything that you're shopping for, everything that you're buying online, you're paying a little bit of interest on, and you don't even realize it. And now everything that you're buying, from your clothes to your furniture and maybe even groceries, you're financing. Now anytime you make money, your money is immediately going out, which leaves nothing for you, because you got to pay for all that stuff you bought last year today. You know, we're a culture that really drives and thrives on emotion, where right now, if you want something, you got to have it. And when you got to have it, you got to have it now. even if that means financing it and worrying about the cost later. Because this is kind of the mindset that we have. It's the instant gratification mindset where when we want something, we want it right now, and we're not going to save up the cash to buy it when we can afford it. We're just going to buy it right now and worry about the price later, because who cares about our finances next year? We'll worry about it then. Couple that with the Instagram social media flex culture, where when people see somebody else on Instagram having nice things, they want to one-up them. Because when you see your cousin Bunty driving around with his brand new Beamer or his brand new Gucci scarf, what do you want to do? You want to go and get a brand new Beamer or a better Gucci scarf. And how do you pay for it? Well, you finance it. So on one hand, we have this cultural spending issue where it is cool and it is normalized to spend all your money on nice things and to go into debt to have your nice things, because that's just what everybody does. And if you don't do that, you're a weirdo. And then on the other hand, we have this shift in our economy and the job market, because so many millennials have already racked up so much student loans to get a degree, to get a job, where nowadays many people don't even need that degree to get that same job paying the same amount of money. Our economy and the way our economy works is really starting to go through a shift right now, because many people are realizing that college does not have the same value that it did before. Now, obviously, college is important, especially for certain professions. Like if you want to enter the STEM field, if you want to become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, you gotta go through college. But a lot of people are starting to realize that if you don't know what you want to do out of high school, maybe you can go and get a job or go and take a year off doing something else and learn without going to college, or maybe go to community college. And so you have this whole kind of batch of millennials that went through college because that was just kind of the thing to do. If you don't know what you want to do, just go to college, and when you're 18, you kind of just sign your life away with an unlimited amount of student loans, because people didn't understand the dangers and the cost of student loans, and only now are we really starting to see that. And this really became amplified during the 2020 pandemic, because people are paying tens of thousands of dollars to go to these prestigious schools, where now you can just take all of your classes online, and when you're going to your classes online, you're still paying $40,000 a year as you would as if you were just sitting in the classroom. And people are starting to realize that that makes no sense. And so this is kind of really starting to make a shift in the college culture. Where is college important? When will it be important? And at the same time, you have so many companies that are dropping their college degree requirement because they understand that you're going to have to learn the skills at the job. And I can tell you this from my perspective too, because I'm an employer, but more and more employers are now not looking for degrees. They're just looking for what you know, what you're passionate about, and what your skills are in. And so if you can learn how to do something and be good at it because you're passionate about it, now you're just as qualified as an employee who got a degree. I really think and I hope that we see a big shift in our college and higher education this decade, because millennials have been so fed up with student loans. And on the other side of things, people are wondering, why are they paying so much for college when you can attend the exact same classes online from your home? Couple that deep-seated spending culture with that changing job culture, with now an economy where the cost of living keeps going up and up and up, and this puts millennials in a really tough space. I mean, don't even get me started about what a retirement is going to look like when it comes time for millennials to retire, because pensions are no longer a thing for millennials. Social Security is drying up, and millennials, for the majority of people, are only investing their money in their 401k, when your 401k was never intended to be your sole investment or retirement account, and many millennials are not even doing that. Now, while this might not sound like good news for the average millennial, the good news is you do not have to be like the average person. I mean, if we just come back and we take a look at some of these expenses, you can cut some of these expenses down. That's one of the first things you gotta do. One of the easiest ways to keep more money in your wallet, to keep more money for yourself, is to cut down some of these expenses. Live in a smaller home. Live in a studio apartment. Do what you gotta do. Share an apartment. That way you can save half of this money right there. Your car. Stop financing your car. What I want you to do is find a used car that's in good working condition and buy it with cash. $5,000 can buy you a pretty decent working car. Then your student loans, you gotta pay off your student loans, so there's nothing you can really do there. With your food, stop paying for extra guac at Chipotle. What I want you to do with your food is now go to the store, buy yourself an 83-cent avocado, and make your guacamole at home. Then, when it comes to your phone and media, stop financing your phone, stop putting everything on a payment plan, and cut out some of the subscriptions that you don't use, because chances are you got at least one subscription that you're paying for that you're not using. Then, with your health, you got to take care of your health. Not much you can do there. And with your 401k, continue to invest your money. But if you at least make some of these cuts, you're going to have a little bit more money every single month. That way now you have some more money to put towards your savings and to put towards your regular investments. Once you work on reducing these costs, then what I want you to do is work on this income. Maybe you can get a raise at your job, maybe you take on a second job, or maybe you add in a side hustle or a side business. That way you can create more income. But here's the thing, as you start to make more money, do not fall into the trap of you make more money and then you start increasing your costs. For a little while, start making more money here, keep your costs the same, and put all of this money towards your investments. That way now you're working to create more income, you're working to build your wealth, and you're adding more money to that. That way you can really build this freedom, because if you don't start taking care of it now, somebody, that means you, is gonna pay the price later. And that's why you wanna be smart now. Start cutting down some of these expenses so you have more money, and then work on increasing this income. That way you have more money going to actually build your wealth. Because if you continue to live paycheck to paycheck with no money left over every single month, you are gonna pay the price later, and you don't want to deal with that. So start taking care of it now. Now, before I get into the next clip, I do want to let you know that if you are interested in learning more about how you can start generating passive income, our team has put together an amazing guide that walks you through different passive income strategies. That way you can start putting your money to work to start generating you passive income right now. So if you want to read this guide for free, I got the link to how you can download this guide and get our free daily newsletter by using our link in the description below. Americans are not saving enough money. Just 40% of Americans have the means to protect them from an emergency like a leaky roof or needing to replace their tires, which means 60% of Americans, the majority of America, does not have the cash necessary to protect them from a leaky roof or having to replace their car tires without going into credit card debt or having to go to the bank and having to borrow money. Now, there's a lot more to becoming wealthy than just living smaller and cutting back expenses and saving your money and being cheap. I actually just made a video on YouTube where I talked about if being cheap can make you rich. So if you want to learn more about that, I will link that video for you in the description below and also for you up here. But you got to know how to take that first step. That way you can build your financial base. That way you can have some cash in the bank. And you know what? It really doesn't have to be as burdensome as just never spending any money and never having any fun if you know how to save your money the right way, which is why in this video, I'm going to be going over 10 ways that you can save $1,000 quickly. But before we get into that, I need you to do me a quick favor and smash that thumbs up button below, because the way the YouTube algorithm works, if you do not smash that thumbs up button, then YouTube is much less likely to show you and other people our financial news and education videos. And I'm gonna start by talking about why you need to review your bills. I'm a gym person. I love working out, and my gym membership cost me $70 a month to work out at my gym. But I noticed on my credit card statements that my gym membership wasn't charging me $70 a month, they were charging me $75 a month. And so I got kind of curious, what is this extra $5 for? So I called up the gym, and they said that they signed me up for a magazine that I never knew that I signed up for, and that's why they were charging me an extra $5 a month. Now, I've had my gym membership for years, and I'll probably continue to have my gym membership for many years into the future, and they were just slapping on this $5 fee because they probably thought no one's gonna check their bills. Now, an extra $5 a month isn't really gonna change my life. I mean, maybe I guess I could afford another side of extra guac, but I'll get to that in a little bit. The whole idea here is you gotta figure out what you need, and you gotta see what you're paying for. Chances are, if you pull out your credit card statement and you go through all of your bills, you're gonna find that you have subscription services that you do not need anymore, and you're gonna find that you're paying for things that you don't use. The simplest way that you can start saving some money is just stop paying for the things that you're not using anymore, because chances are you're paying for something that you're not even using. And when it comes to the things that you are using, like your gym membership, make sure you're only paying for what you use. Like if you got a gym membership, make sure you're only paying for the gym membership and not some magazine that you've never read in your life. Second, you gotta know the true cost of what you're buying. If you go to the mall and you buy yourself a nice $150 jacket, what is the true cost of your jacket? So many of you might be thinking at this point that if you bought a $150 jacket, the true cost is $150. But that's not the full story. Yeah, you paid $150, but I want you to really know what it cost you to get the $150. So let's say you make $20 an hour. So if you make $20 an hour, how long did it take you to make this $150? That would be what, 5, 6, 7.5 hours of work to get this $150 jacket. but this is actually before taxes, because remember, Uncle Sam's got to take their cut with the IRS. So after taxes, it's actually going to cost you 9.5 hours of time to buy this jacket. Would you rather have the jacket, or would you rather have 9.5 hours of time? This is almost always one of the first calculations I have in my mind, because I always want to know, how much time is this thing going to cost me that I want to buy? Now, I get it. You can have passive investments that pay you without you having to physically work, but you got to know how much your time is worth. And if you know that, then you can calculate how much time this thing is going to cost you. And then you can really ask yourself, do I want to spend this money on this jacket? So now you know that the true cost of your jacket isn't just $150. It's almost 10 hours of your time. But the second thing you need to ask yourself when it comes to the true cost is, what would this jacket be worth in the future if you didn't buy a jacket? Because what I want to know is, if I didn't buy this jacket and I invested this money, what would this money have become? Because if I invested the $150, this $150 in 10 years would be worth not $150, but $300. And in 20 years, this money that I would have spent on my jacket wouldn't be $150. It would be about $600. And in 30 years, this $150 that I spent on my jacket would have become more than $1,100 if I had just invested the money. So now, the real cost of this jacket isn't $150. It is almost 10 hours of my time, and it is the opportunity to make $1,100 over the next 30 years. Now you can ask yourself, do I really want to spend $150 on a jacket now? Too late, I already got it, Jasprit. One of the easiest ways to save money quickly is just to not spend our money. But the tough part about that is, when we want something, we want it right now. And so what I want you to do is just take a step back before you go out and you buy that jacket on impulse, or before you go and you buy something that you don't need. Just take a step back and ask yourself, what is the true cost? How much time would it cost you to actually get that? And how much money is this going to cost you over the long run? Once you do that, I want you to follow the 24-hour rule, which says you want to buy something, great. Now just take a step back, wait 24 hours, and then decide if you really want to buy it. If you still want to buy it and you do these calculations, then go out and buy it. But if after those 24 hours, you thought about how much time it's going to cost you, and you thought of how much money you're losing out of in the future, and now you decided not to buy it, well, now you just saved some cash by not spending it. Third, let's talk about eating out and drinking out, because there's a huge debate in the financial world about coffee. You have people like Susie Orman who say that you going out and drinking Starbucks is one of the dumbest things that you can do with your money. And then you have people like Ramit Sethi who say the opposite. He says that it doesn't matter if you spend $5 at Starbucks, because $5 is just $5. It's not going to make a difference. And then you have people like Graham Stephan who popularized the 20-cent coffee because he makes his coffee at home. Now, honestly, I can't relate to any of that because I don't like coffee. Coffee tastes like poo-poo. I don't drink coffee. I drink tea. If you go out to Costco and you buy the big pack of green tea, it's gonna cost you something like 24 cents to drink one glass of tea. Now, personally, I'm a big fan of nice teas because there's a difference between your kind of lower quality teas and your nicer teas. If you want a nice cup of tea, it is going to cost you somewhere between 35 cents to 50 cents if you make it at home. If you go out and you buy the same tea from a nice tea shop, it is going to cost you at a very minimum of $3.50. So clearly, if you went out and you made your tea yourself, you're going to save $3 every time you make your tea at home. But let's also talk about the food. If you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, you know that I love food, and more specifically, you know that I love guac. Now, if I go out and I go to Target and I buy an avocado right now, it is going to cost me something like 89 cents. Okay, if I go out and I buy this avocado, so I'm gonna draw you an avocado that looks more like a cookie than an avocado, but if I paid 89 cents for this avocado, I can make 4 sides of guac. Okay, now if you're like me and you really like guac, maybe this is just gonna make you one side, one avocado, one side, but let's assume that you can make 4 sides of guac from this one avocado. That means if you eat your guac at home, you are gonna be paying somewhere between 25 cents, I'm gonna round up here, to 89 cents for your side of guac. 89 cents if you're someone like me who wants to eat the whole avocado, 25 cents if you only wanna eat a fourth of that. Okay, you're gonna be paying less than $1 if you wanna get your guac, but if you go to the store, if you go to a restaurant and you wanna get a side of guac, it is gonna cost you at least $3 for a small side of guac, and you're barely gonna get a quarter's worth of guacamole. If you just make your nice tea at home, and I don't know about coffee, but tea is very easy to make at home. All you gotta do is warm up some water and put some tea leaves in there or put a tea packet in there. It is very easy. You don't need any fancy equipment. So if you just make your tea at home and you eat your avocado at home, you're gonna save $6 between the two. Now, if you do this 5 times a week, like many people do, 52 weeks a year, you are going to save $1,500 over the course of a year just by eating your avocados at home and just by making your tea at home. This is where I want to give you a little disclaimer, because you know what? I like tea, and sometimes I do like drinking in a tea shop. I'm not one of those people who says, I never go out to the tea shop and drink tea. I like to have a lot of meetings over tea. I don't go to the bar, I don't drink, I don't do things like that, but I do like tea. And I have a lot of meetings over tea. So sometimes for the experience, I will go out and I will drink this tea. But when it comes to my daily tea, I don't drink tea every single day, but when it comes to my regular general tea, then I'm just gonna make it at home, and I'm not going to the tea shop every morning to get my morning tea. This is where I want you to draw a line between consumption and enjoyment. If you're just going to the tea shop every morning to drink your tea and you're just putting extra guac in your lunch because you like guacamole, you are blowing money on things that you don't need. But if you're going out to hang out with your friends because you want to drink some tea together and have a good time, sure, go out and pay $3.50 for a tea. That's okay, but spending this money every single morning just because you don't want to brew it at home, that's a different story. It is okay to go out and have a cup of tea with your friends or go out to a restaurant once in a while, but it is different when you're talking about doing it every single day just because that's what you think is normal, because you want to go out and you want to eat a burrito and you want to get extra guac every single day. By the way, if you are eating in restaurants, just drink water. You are going to save a ton of money just by drinking water instead of ordering a Coke. One thing that I learned growing up in the Indian household is that everything is negotiable. If you're in India and you go out and you buy yourself some apples, you're gonna negotiate the price of that. If you go out and you buy yourself a new shirt, you're gonna negotiate the price of that. Okay? Almost everything is negotiable if you ask. Worst case, they just tell you no. One of the simplest and least painful ways to spend less money every single month is just to negotiate your bills lower. So what I want you to do is start by taking all of your utility bills. So your cable bill, your internet bill, your phone bills. Take these bills and now look at what your competitors are charging. Chances are that the competitors to the companies you have some lower introductory rates out there right now. Now what I want you to do is try to get the bill that you're paying right now down to your competitors' lower introductory rates. That way you're getting the same service at a lower price, so you're literally just saving money for doing nothing except making a 15-minute phone call. The way you do that is you're gonna call up the customer service number on your statement and they're gonna say, "Hi, I was wondering if there's anything you could do about my bill because I feel like it's really high." Now, they're gonna say either yes, we can bring it down a little bit, or they're gonna say no, there's nothing we can do. No matter what they say, even if they agree to lower your bill, I want you to push them lower. What you're gonna say is, "Oh, really? Okay, I saw that your competitor so-and-so was charging only $25 a month. Is there any way you can match or beat that? I'd really like to stay with your company." Now what you just did is you suddenly put it in their head that you are considering leaving because their competitor is charging a lower fee. No company wants to lose a good paying customer to their competitor, especially if you've been there for a long time. So now what they're gonna do is they're gonna seriously see if they can bring your bill lower. If they don't bring your bill lower, or they don't bring it low enough, that's when you want to ask to speak with the manager, because managers typically have more negotiating room. The key here for any of this to work is you need to be nice, because customer service agents are getting yelled at all day long by people complaining about their bills. If you are nice to them, they will be nice to you. This should go for any big purchase you want to make. Your home, even if you're leasing your home, you can negotiate the price of your lease. Your car, anytime you make a big purchase, make sure you negotiate it first. Fifth, I want you to move your savings. And that means two different things. As soon as you get paid, I want you to automatically move some money from your checking account, where your money goes into, to a savings account. That way you can't accidentally spend the money, because sometimes we feel that if we have cash in the bank, we should spend it. Well, if that money automatically leaves before you can touch it, it. Now you're not going to have the urge to spend it because you're not going to see that money. So anytime you get paid, you need to automatically move some of your money to a savings account. That way you can't accidentally spend it on a new TV. Second, I want you to consider moving your savings account to an online bank that pays you a higher interest rate than a traditional bank, because if your money is saved at a traditional bank, chances are they are paying you next to nothing. If you move your money to an online bank, you should be able to get a much better return because online banks have lower fees. They don't have the same overhead and all the rent costs because they don't have those retail banks everywhere. So because they have lower fees, they can pay you a higher interest. Now, this higher interest is not going to substitute an investment and it's not going to make you rich. But if you're saving your money anyways, you might as well get a better return on your savings. That's what I do with my savings. I know that my savings are not doing anything except sitting there collecting dust, so I move my savings to an online bank. That way I can at least get some interest and get some money for my savings because it's just sitting there doing nothing anyways. And if you do want to learn more about how you can save your money and get a better return at an online bank, our team has written an article on this on our website, theminoritymindset.com, and I'll also link this article for you up here and in the description below. Sixth, I need you to start shopping around for the right things, because when I say shop around, I don't mean shopping around for a new Gucci scarf. I mean shopping around for the services that you can save some money on. Your insurance, so this is your health insurance, your home insurance, your car insurance, all the different insurances that you have, your phone bill, your cable bill, and your internet bill. I need you to shop around for these 4 things every single year, because chances are these companies are going to raise your bill every single year, and so you want to make sure you're getting the best rate, because if you just stick with one company because you don't want to shop around, you are going to get ripped off. So every year I want you to spend just half an hour shopping around. That way you can make sure you're getting the best deal possible. You can even negotiate the price of your bill lower like I just talked about, but you want to make sure that you're not overpaying, because this is a simple way to save a ton of money. Seventh, we all have things that are sitting there in a house that aren't doing anything. Like when I graduated law school, I had a ton of books in my room that were just taking up space and collecting dust. So I went out and I sold a bunch of my textbooks, and I made like $400 just selling the textbooks that were doing nothing except taking up space. We all have things in our homes that we're not using that are just taking up space and collecting dust. What I want you to do is take the things that you do not need and take them and sell them. Your kids' clothes, your old furniture, your old phone, your old TV, your old electronics, all these things have some value, and you can go out and you can turn these old things that are collecting dust into some cash if you just spend the time to go out and sell them. 8, pay your stuff on time. So this is one of my pet peeves. I cannot stand paying late fees, because when you pay for a late fee, you are paying for something that you're getting no value for. Like when you pay a $25 late fee, you are getting no extra value. You just forgot to pay the bill. And Americans on average are paying $250 a year in late fees alone. That's $250 that you're spending on something that's giving you no value and no return. If you just want to throw your money in the garbage, you might as well just mail it to me. Avoid paying late fees at all costs. Put it in your calendar, use auto pay, set reminders, do whatever you gotta do. That way you don't have to pay a $25 late fee. 9, you can use technology to help you save money automatically. There are apps out there like Honey and Piggy. I like to use Honey. And literally, as you're checking out, if you buy something online, Honey will come up and it'll tell you, oh, do you want to save $20 on your order just by using this coupon code? Yes. And so now you just save $20 by doing nothing except having this free extension that helps find you coupon codes to help you save money on purchases online. It's the same with using a loyalty program or a cashback program, where now you're just saving money by doing nothing except just using one of these free programs that are going to save you money because you use the free program. And lastly, if you want to save $1,000 quickly, what I want you to do is next time you buy something, I want you to ask yourself, would you rather have that sweater you want to buy or whatever it is you're buying, or would you rather have cash in your hand? If you'd rather make $150 or have $150 instead of having a sweater, well then you can just not buy the sweater and keep $150, because now this is $150 that you get to keep in your pocket because you just didn't spend this money on the sweater now. You got to keep the cash and you don't get the sweater, but at least you got some cash. By the way, in case you were wondering, I did not pay $150 for this sweater. I think I paid like $9 or $10 for this sweater because I bought it online on clearance. When you're getting started off as an investor, there's two different things that you can invest. You can invest your money, that's the most obvious thing, or you can invest your time through your labor. The thing that differentiates wealthy people and financially educated people from everybody else is when wealthy people and financially educated people make money, they reinvest this money because they understand that your income, whether it's from your job or your business, it's not going to make you rich. Your investments are what will make you wealthy and rich. And so what wealthy people and financially educated people are doing is they're making money and now they're investing it. That way their money's working hard to earn them more money. Now this comes with its own fair share of pros and cons, because the good news is you can start investing your money with as little as $100. Today I'm going to be talking about how you can invest your first $1,000. But the bad news is if you just have $1,000 to your name and you invest this money into a passive investment, you are not going to become rich overnight. But $1,000 is a very good start. And now if you blend this money with your time through your labor, now you can grow your money even faster. Now before I get into how you can actually invest your $1,000, a couple housekeeping rules. First, if this is the only $1,000 you have to your name, you need to first build some savings. You need to have a savings cushion because life will happen and you don't want to go into credit card debt when your car breaks down. So you want to make sure you have a little bit of savings before you start investing your money. Second, if you have high interest debt, if you have credit card debt, other things like that, where you're paying 10, 12, 15, 25% a year in interest on this debt, pay this off first. If you don't, then it'll almost be kind of like walking around with a 1,000-pound weight chained to your leg, because now you're trying to go forward, you're trying to build wealth, but you got this weight chained to you that's holding you back. And so if you have this high interest debt, pay that down first, because this debt is skinning you alive. If you have low interest debt, we're talking about student loans, mortgages, then yeah, you can kind of work around that. Now this depends on your risk tolerance. I'm not saying that's what you should do, but if you have high interest debt, then you definitely want to be paying down your high interest debt before you start investing your money. Now that we got that out of the way, when it comes time to actually investing your $1,000, there's a couple of different ways that you can invest this money. You can invest this money the active way. This is now when you're investing your money and your time through labor, and the passive way where you're only investing your money. These are the two different things that I'm going to be talking about, but before I get into that, I need you to do me a quick favor and smash that thumbs up button below. And a quick word from our sponsor, Fundrise. If you are interested in investing in real estate, but you don't want to deal with the headache of managing tenants and buy and hold properties, you can invest in crowdfunded real estate with Fundrise with as little as $1,000. So if you want to learn more and start investing with our sponsor, Fundrise, I got the link to how you can do that in the description below. Starting with the active way to invest your money, there are a ton of businesses out there that are very successful today that started with less than $1,000. Like Minority Mindset started off with less than $1,000, and now we are a full financial media company. The whole idea with actively investing your money is you are going to invest this $1,000, plus you're also going to invest your own time. So this might be your own brain power, your own thoughts, your own creativity, your own labor, whatever it is to help grow this money that you're investing into your company. And so here, you're essentially going to be starting your own business, because you're going to take this $1,000 and you're going to use your own knowledge and your own labor to grow this money. Maybe you're going to go out and buy something and sell it for a higher price. Maybe you're going to start flipping something. Maybe you're going to start an e-commerce store. Maybe you're going to start a blog online. You can start something with this $1,000 with your own effort to grow this $1,000 into something a whole lot bigger. Now, before I go too deep into the different things that you can do right now to grow your money, the thing that I want you to understand here is you can make way more money actively invest your money than you would by passively investing your money. Now, there is more risk here because you're essentially starting your own business, but you have the opportunity to make a lot of money because there's no limit to what kind of returns you can see when you start your own business. Now, when you do start your own business, there's two things that you have to understand. Every business works this way. I don't care what type of company, what kind of business you want to start. Every single business works this way. So businesses all have two components. Component one is the product, and component two is the customers. If you have a product and you have customers that are buying your product, you have the things that you need in order to build a successful business. Every single business needs these two components in order to be successful. Now, your product can be anything. Your product could be something you find off of Alibaba or AliExpress in China. Your product can be something that you create. Your product could be your services. Your product could be your labor if you like doing things like landscaping or painting. Your product could be your mind if you're an accountant or if you're a consultant. So your product can be a product, a physical product, or a service. Customers are now the people that are going to give you money for the value that you provide. Now, thanks to the internet, finding customers is much more accessible. Not necessarily easy, but much more accessible than before, because back in the day, before we had the internet, if you had a product and you wanted customers, the most common way that you would find customers is you'd have to rent a very expensive office space or a storefront. And if you wanted to get a storefront in a prime time location, it's going to cost you a lot of money. And so your customers were kind of reserved to people within 20 or 25 miles of your office. Nowadays, you can target customers from all around the globe thanks to social media, thanks to the internet. Now, the downfall with that is you're going to be competing against everybody in the world. So you have to be a little bit more clever here with digital marketing. But if you can understand how digital marketing works, now you have the whole world on your fingertips as customers, and you just need to have the right product to market to your customers. This is where the more creative you are, the more money you can make. The first real business that I ever started was an event planning business. I started working at weddings, and I got to know a lot of the DJs. And because I knew all these DJs and I knew a lot of people, I got into this kind of party hosting business. I was hosting college parties. And so what I would do is I would go to venues, clubs, restaurants, and I would talk to these venues about hosting parties. So I would talk to the venue and say, hey, can I rent out your club or your restaurant for a night? And I would try to do that where I wouldn't have to pay the club owner or the venue owner anything. Now, I would rent out the space and then I would spend some money. I started off with probably like $200 or $300. So it wasn't really a lot of money, but I would spend a little bit of money trying to get the word out about this event. And now I would work with DJs who I knew, so they wouldn't charge me anything. They would take a percentage of revenue would make at the door, because I would charge a cover fee, $10 or $20 for you to come into the event, and the DJ would take a percentage of that, and the restaurant or the bar or the club, they would take whatever money they made off of drinks. Now, I wasn't into partying. I don't drink. I just got into this business because it was the only thing that I knew. And so that's how I got started. And I didn't need a lot of money because I was creative, I knew the right people, and I was able to talk to people. So I got customers by spending a little bit of money in marketing, getting the word out there. It's even cheaper now because you can use social media, but I did kind of more traditional marketing then with flyers and things like that. My product was this event, and so I'd connect the two, and that's how I started making some money. If you're good with your hands and you don't mind getting dirty, another few products that you could do are potentially auto detailing or landscaping work or painting work. And so now this is your product. You know that you can detail cars really nicely. You know that you can do landscaping work really nicely. You know that you can paint homes really nicely. You got to get customers who are going to pay you to do this work. And so what do? Now you can do flyers, you can do Facebook advertising, you can do Instagram marketing. And now you want to find people in your area who have money, who have these needs. They want to get their car detailed or they want to renovate their homes. And so you want to connect with these people, use your money now either to get some tools or to get that marketing. That way you can get in front of these people and you can let them know, hey, I'm starting this new company where I can do auto detailing, landscaping, painting, whatever. And now you can get the customers in order to do that. And this is again where you can be creative. Maybe you give this customer a 50% off discount if they refer you a friend. Or maybe you even give this customer a free auto detail if they're willing to put a flyer up on the front of their lawn, or if they're willing to tell their friends about it. So, you really just got to be creative here because you want to build a customer base that you're just going to keep coming back again and again and again, and you want to be able to find more customers. That way you can increase your product, because at the end of the day, if you are auto detailing or landscaping and it's just you're not going to be able to scale. However, if you can bring on more people with you, this is difficult. It's not easy to do, but if you can bring on more people, now you can scale if you can work on growing this. So if you can grow this, you'll be able to grow this. If you're not the type of person who wants to get their hands dirty and do all this physical labor, then you can come on the internet. Now you have a whole list of products that you can have. You can start an e-commerce store. And so now you can buy products from China, or you can create your own product and sell them to customers on Amazon or your own e-commerce site. You can start a blog. You can do affiliate marketing. You can start a podcast. You can start a YouTube channel. And now your goal is to build an audience. Even if you have an e-commerce store, you want to have a large social presence. That way you can have people constantly coming to your store to buy your products. The stores that make the most money on the internet are not just the random kind of stores that have no internet presence, that don't have a blog, that don't have an Instagram page. It's the pages, it's the companies that have large social presences, that have large blog presences, because now people are already watching your content. And now when you go onto your Instagram page, page with 100,000 followers and you say, hey, we're having a Black Friday sale, or hey, we're having a 20% off sale this weekend only, you have a lot of people that are seeing your posts, because if you have 100,000 followers who are interested in your product and they see that you're having a sale, now you're automatically showing your product to the right customers, right? So the internet is kind of like the new age digital real estate, because if you own a piece of this digital real estate, because if you have a large social presence, you have a large blog presence, now people are already seeing your content. And now what do? You just market them your product. If you have a blog and you don't have your own product, well, now you can use advertising as your product. You can become an affiliate marketer for other companies in your niche. So if you have a fitness blog, you can partner with other protein supplements. Now, this isn't a product that you created, but you can partner with another protein company and you can market them on your product. And if anybody buys this product from your website, you get paid. So there's an unlimited way to make money if you have this kind of digital real estate on the internet. You just have to have the customers. Who are the customers? Well, this can be people who follow you on your website or your social media. You just want to make sure that you have the right products for these customers. Even for us, I'll show you the way Minority Mindset works right now. The way we work is we try to put out valuable education, valuable content that's fun to watch, and then people watch our content, and then we market products that we think are good. So this part is hard. If you are a brand and you want to work with us, it is very difficult to work with us. We reject like 99% of the brands that want to work with us, but the brands that I love, that I personally would use myself, I will market these products to our audience because I support these brands. I would use these brands myself and I believe in them. That's one of the reasons why I think that we have been able to grow so fast, is because people realize that we're not sitting here promoting crap all day. And so like in this video, I talked about Fundrise. Fundrise is one of our products, one of our sponsors that we work with. When people use Fundrise through us, we get paid, right? I don't try to kind of dance around that topic. I make it very clear. We get paid when you use one of our affiliate partners, but that's the way that we work. We don't create Fundrise, we work with them. But if somebody watches our videos, they like our products, they like what we say, then you can support us by using our affiliate partners. A few other ways that we make money is one, through our newsletters. We have a daily financial newsletter, and these newsletters break down what's going on in the finance and business world. And in these newsletters, we have sponsors. We have a blog, which we drive revenue through advertising and affiliate partnerships. And we also have a few classes that we sell. And so these are the different products that we have. And now we have customers. This is our audience, people who are interested in learning more about financial education, people who want to be financially educated, and we connect customers with the right products. Now, the thing that makes us different from a lot of kind of your traditional brands is we don't try to shove products down customers' throats. We're not coming here on YouTube selling. 80 or 85% of our content has no products mentioned at all. This is what makes us different. Most of our content has no product pitches at all. Most of our content is completely free. But if you want to get the extra little bit, that's our classes. Or if you want to get the extra little bit on your kind of products, that's where we occasionally market our products. I started Minority Mindset on YouTube, making videos with my cell phone in front of a white wall. It cost me a few $100s. And so if you have $1,000, you can start up your own business idea. You just got to understand the product and the customer. You got to know what your product is, and you got to know who this customer is. And now you got to use your money smartly and creatively to get customers to buy a product. That's the essence of now actively investing your money. Once you kind of get an idea of what you're doing, the next thing you got to do with this money is you got to make sure that you're learning. Okay, because the thing that can accelerate your growth, the thing that can help you go from 0 to 1,000 to 10,000 to 100,000 to 1,000,000 is if you understand how to grow your business, if you know how to grow this active investment. And one of the easiest ways to do that is just by learning from other people. That can mean you're reading books, that could be watching YouTube videos, that could mean buying classes. I have bought a ton of online courses from people that are doing things, because when you learn from them, now you can accelerate your growth because you're learning from other people that understand digital marketing. You're learning from people that understand email marketing. You're learning from people that understand Facebook advertising. And so yes, it does make sense to invest in some of these courses when you have a need for these courses, and if you understand the real kind of purpose of this course. Because the thing where kind of people make mistakes in this online course space is to start taking these online courses hoping they're going to get rich quick, but they have no idea what they're going to use this course for. And so if you have this business right here, or if you have this kind of thing that you're working on, and now you have a specific thing that you want to learn, like let's say you want to learn how to grow your blog quickly, Now, if you take a course on how to grow your blog, that information you can plug in right here as opposed to just taking a random course and thinking that you're going to get rich quick. When I started getting involved in real estate, I went to a real estate seminar where somebody pitched a course on real estate wholesaling. And this course was $3,500, which was a lot of money for me back then. And I decided to make that investment. I bought the $3,500 course, and I didn't make any money for the first 4 months. But after about 4 months, I started closing deals in the real estate wholesaling space. And real estate wholesaling, your deals, once you close them, they can be kind of big. Like my first deal was $10,000. And so, yeah, I made my money back. It took me a lot of time, took me a lot of effort. But then a few months after I started making money, I stopped doing real estate wholesaling. It wasn't me. And so another thing that you have to understand is you have to be adaptable. I went through kind of business after business after business before I started to really realize what my passion was, what I liked doing, and where my talents were. And so this is one of those things where you have to be just kind of adaptable, because we don't learn entrepreneurship. We don't learn how to grow our money in school. And so when you're learning, you have to be willing to adapt. You have to be willing to grow. You have to be willing to make mistakes, and you have to be willing to learn. And one of the ways you're going to learn is when you realize that something is not for you, then you have to be able to switch. Now, the good thing here is even if you kind of stop a bunch of different things that you're working on, you're going to learn something from everything that you do. I mean, even if you start an e-commerce store and then you start a landscaping business and then you realize that you want to start a podcast, you're going to learn something from your e-commerce store and your landscaping business that you can use in your podcast that other people don't know. And so you're going to learn things along the way, but you just got to make sure that you keep moving forward and you keep trying new things, because that's the only way you're going to learn and it's the only way you're going to grow. So if you only have $1,000 or so to invest and you don't have $1,000 every single month coming in to invest even more, then you got to work on growing your income. The way you can do that right now is by actively growing your money. This might mean starting your own business or starting your own side hustle. And the way to make that work is you got to understand products and customers. So you need to use your $1,000 to know what your product is going to be. Maybe you got to buy some products, and then you got to find customers. This might mean advertising. This might mean organic marketing, finding customers through your social media or through your blog. Once you can connect this, then you will be able to grow this active income. Now, once you start growing your active income, that's when you have to start growing number 2, your passive income. Your passive investments are what is going to make you wealthy without you having to physically work. So now, if you have this active money coming in, this might be through your job, this might be through your business or your side hustle like we just talked about. As soon as you start making this money, you got to start hammering this money here into your passive investments, because this is what's going to make you long-term wealth. And so what you see a lot of wealthy people do is either they're making money from the job or they're making money from the business, and now they're taking as much money as possible and they're putting that here into their passive investments. Now, there's a couple of different ways if you have $1,000, and this is $1,000 consistently coming in, because if you only have $1,000, then passively investing your money is not going to make you the greatest returns, but you can do that. I mean, I'll talk about what the type of returns you're going to see, but there's a couple ways that you can kind of get these returns on your money through your passive investments. One of the easiest ways to do that is through an ETF. So this is through the stock market. The stock market is a place where you can go and invest in companies, stocks. And so when you invest in the Amazon stock or the Apple stock or the Chipotle stock or the Lululemon stock, you become one of the owners of these companies. And so an ETF now allows you to become an owner, not just of one company, but of a whole basket, a whole group of companies. Because if you want to be a passive investor, now you don't want to spend that time to constantly research companies, constantly read their earnings columns, constantly see how much money they're making, what they're doing. Because if a company starts to go down and all your money is in one company, now your whole investment goes down. With an ETF, this stands for Exchange Traded Fund. Now you're investing in a whole group of stocks. And there's a whole bunch of different kinds of ETFs out there. They can invest in ETFs that give you exposure to the top 500 companies in the stock market. A couple examples of that would be VOO or SPY SPY. Now, I'm not telling you what to invest in, just an example. But those 2 ETFs give you exposure to the S&P 500. That's the top 500 companies in the stock market. So if you just want to invest in the general stock market, those 2 ETFs will allow you to do that. You can invest in ETFs that give you exposure to tech companies. You can invest in ETFs that give you exposure to growth companies. You can invest in ETFs that give you exposure to dividend stocks. You can invest in ETFs that give you exposure to REITs or healthcare. So you have ETFs that give you exposure to really anything that you want. And so if there's an industry or a sector that you want to invest in, but you don't know what company to invest in, or you don't know how to do the research, then an ETF is a great way to go. And the easiest way to find these ETFs is literally just go to Google and search blank ETF. So if you want to search technology ETF, healthcare ETF, whatever it is, you can search these ETFs. Find this ETF, look at what companies they invest in. If you like those companies, then that could be an investment that you're investing in. Now, if you want to make this successful, the thing that makes passive investing the most successful for people is you have to consistently keep investing money into this ETF. That might be every 2 weeks, every time you get paid, or every month. So if you want to become a successful passive investor, especially through ETFs, this is something that you have to keep consistently investing your money in. The thing that I like about ETFs is you can invest in ETFs with as little as $100. So now anytime you get paid, you want to take a portion of your paycheck and you want this to automatically go into your stock brokerage account and have this money invested into your ETFs. That way every month your account is going to keep growing and hopefully your ETFs are going to keep growing as well. So now you keep putting more fuel into the fire and now you're just building this wealth on the side. If you do want to learn more about how to invest in ETFs passively, and do this in a way where now anytime you get paid, this is going to automatically go into your investment accounts. Our team has put together an amazing article on our website, theminoritymindset.com, that walks you through how to passively invest your money in the stock market. So if you want to learn more about that, I'll link that article for you in the description below. Now, I'm going to try to be respectful for your time because there's a lot of different ways that you can invest in stocks passively, and they all follow the exact same model as what I said for ETFs. So if you want to invest in dividend stocks or growth stocks or whatever, you can just do the exact same thing here where you automatically passively invest your money into these stocks every time you get paid. So I'm not going to go over every different type of investment in the stock market, but you can just kind of assume that it's the exact same thing as ETFs. The second way that you can passively invest your money is by investing your money into real estate. Now, the thing about real estate is you're not going to be able to go out with a $1,000 right now and go buy a property and have this passive investment where now you own this property and a tenant's living there, they're going to pay you rent. You're not going to be able to do that with $1,000. But what you can do is use something like our sponsor Fundrise, and now you can invest in crowdfunded real estate, where now you're getting exposure to a portfolio of real estate properties. And as these properties make money through rent, so do you. And as the value of these properties go up, you make money as well. Again, if you are interested in learning more about crowdfunding, I got the link to how you can do that in the description below. And another way that you can invest your money, this is not necessarily real estate, I mean it could be, but is through peer-to-peer lending. So you see a lot of peer-to-peer lending for real estate deals where people go onto a website where they now borrow money from another person. That's why it's called peer-to-peer. Now, a person is not going to borrow $1,000 to go out and invest in real estate. They're going to need more money than that. But you could do peer-to-peer lending to invest your $1,000 by lending this money out to somebody else. Now, peer-to-peer lending has its own risks because you got to make sure that the person that you're investing into by lending your money into them is creditworthy, that they're going to pay you your money back. But it's another thing that you can look at, and it's kind of indirectly related to real estate, but it's another way that you can passively invest your money. If you went out and you asked the majority of people, how do most people become millionaires? They'll tell you that it's because of rich parents or being gifted or having a trust fund or winning the lottery or getting really lucky. You need to have one of these 5 things if you want to become a millionaire. But that's just not true. 88% of millionaires were self-made. These are people that created their wealth and their money themselves, that did not have everything gifted to them. Yeah, you had 12% of millionaires that had rich parents or had money given to them or had all these privileges, but the vast majority of millionaires created their wealth themselves. So if you want to understand how to become a millionaire yourself, you got to understand what these people did. Out of the people that became self-made millionaires, there are 3 general categories or ways that people became millionaires. The first is start a very successful business. Number 2 is earn a very high salary. Or third, invest a little bit of your money every time you get paid. Look, some of the most successful people in the world are people that start and built their own businesses. But the reality is, building a business is not easy and it is not for everybody. It looks cool and it looks attractive because entrepreneurship is fun, but it is hard work and you do not get weekends off, you do not get evenings off. Building a business is hard and it's not for everybody. And so that is not the path to becoming a millionaire for the majority of people. And if we look at trying to earn a super high salary, like people earning $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $600,000 a year or more, that's not really accessible for most people either, because maybe you're gonna need a special degree, maybe you gotta go out and become a doctor, or maybe you gotta go and become a CEO of a big company. But yeah, that's possible for some people, but not everybody. So I guess both of these 2 options are out for most people. But the third option, investing a little bit of money every time you get paid, is actually how most people become millionaires. It's a slow and gradual process where every time you get paid, regardless of how much money you're getting paid, you put aside a little bit of money and you keep slowly investing it, and you let this money that you're investing grow and compound. And as this money is growing and compound, you keep fueling the fire, because every time you get paid, You're just putting more and more money into this ball that's growing and building you wealth. That way you can become a millionaire in your lifetime by letting your money go out and work. I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can do that. But before I get into that, I need you to do me a quick favor and smash the thumbs up button below. Let's go over some quick numbers. Let's start by going over something that most people should be able to do. Let's assume that you can put aside $10 a day, which is right around $300 a month. If you take this $10 a day, $300 a month, and you keep investing it every single month, I'll talk about where and how to invest it in just a little bit. But let's assume that you can get a 7% annual return on your money on average. So this is a below average return, okay? Something conservative. But if you keep investing this $300 a month over the next 45 years, so if you do this from 21 to 66, the $300 a month is going to grow to $1.1 million on the side. Now, if you're saying that you don't got $10 a day or $300 a month, yet you also have a $300 a month car payment or more, then you might want to rethink where and how you're spending your money. If you want to be a little bit more aggressive, and now you can put aside $20 a day or $600 a month, and you can get the same 7% return, which is below average, below the historical average, then you will be able to grow this money to $2.2 million over a lifetime on the side. And let's have some fun. What if you could be even more aggressive and you could put aside $100 a day, which is right around, let's say, $3,000 a month. If you can do that and you can maintain the same below average return, then over your lifetime, you will be able to grow your money to $11 million on the side. Now, while this all sounds good in theory, it's still theory, because now the question is, how do you actually make it happen? Because me sitting here saying that if you put $300 a month into your investments, that you would have grown it to $1.1 million is kind of like the people who say things like, if you invested 45 cents in Tesla or Bitcoin, then the 45-cent investment would have been worth $4.4 million today. So you are very not smart for not making that 44-cent investment 20 years ago. It's impossible to predict what is going to happen. So the question is, what do you do today to actually build these millions in your lifetime? How do you do this practically, and how do you make it happen? Well, the first part of making it happen is you got to work on this side of the equation. How do you get this extra cash? How do you find this extra cash every single month? And there's two things you got to do on the mental side of how do you actually get this cash. The first thing you gotta do is you gotta stop living in your feelings. We live in a culture where people live in their feelings, where when people want something, they want it now. And when you want it now, you're gonna do whatever it takes to get it. And when I say do whatever it takes, I don't mean put in the hustle and get the cash to actually be able to afford it. I mean do whatever it takes, like put it on your credit card or finance it or pay it off in installments. If the way your mind works is, I just made $1,000, so how can I spend this $1,000? I can go on this vacation, I can buy these shoes, I can go out to eat here. You will never have a chance to achieve this. It's not possible. Okay, because the first thing you got to do is you got to break out of your feelings and understand that now anytime you get paid does not mean that you got to go out and spend this money. Anytime you get paid means now you have more money to invest, because you got to put some money aside towards your investments. So the first thing you got to do is you got to stop living in your feelings, and then you got to stop spending all your money. You got to figure out what the right investment amount is for you. I recommend 15% of your income. So anytime you make $1, 15 cents should go towards your investments, but I'm just a random guy on YouTube. You got to make your own decisions. The second thing you do after you start putting some extra money aside is now you got to start growing the pot. You got to start earning more money. The thing that bugs me about traditional financial planners and traditional financial planning is that traditional financial planning focuses just on pinching pennies. But the thing that you got to understand is that at the end of the day, a penny saved is just a penny. Yes, you should not be blowing all your money. Yes, you should not spend your money as soon as you get it. Yes, you got to be smart with your money. But I also want you to work to grow the pie instead of just working to figure out how can you squeeze some extra pennies, because at the end of the day, there's a limit to how little you can spend, but there's no limit to how much you can earn. So once you understand how to spend your money, once you understand how to live below your means, once you understand how to build a system where anytime you get paid, 15% of your paycheck is automatically gonna get invested, the next thing you gotta do is worry about, how can I grow the pie? How can I make the pie bigger? Because if you're making $40,000 a year and you're investing 15%, that's good. But if you're making $400,000 a year and now you're investing 15%, that's even better. Again, going back to the beginning of this video, most people are not going to be able to start their own business, and most people are not going to earn a doctor's salary. But what you can do is you can supplement your income. If you're not happy with how much money you're earning, maybe you can earn a second job. Maybe you can ask for a raise. Maybe you can get a promotion. Maybe you can start a side hustle or do something to earn some extra cash. There are a lot of ways that you can supplement the income that you're getting right now. That way you have more money to grow this pot. That way you have more money going towards your investments. So the first thing you gotta do if you wanna get this is you gotta work on this. That means you gotta stop living in your feelings and you gotta find a way to earn some more money. That way you have this cash to grow. Once you got this cash right here, the next thing you gotta figure out is how do you make this interest, this return on your money? What do you do with this extra cash that you're investing? By the way, if you're interested in learning more about my 15% rule and how to build a financial system that works to build you wealth, to build your savings, that way you understand how to use your money, I already made a video on YouTube where I explained how all of that works. So if you want to watch that video, I will link it for you in the description below. But let's talk about how to actually invest your money now. The whole idea of investing is you want to create this machine that is printing you money without you physically having to work. But in order to create this machine, you got to invest one of two things. Either you got to invest your time or you got to invest your money. Now, for a lot of people, either you're not going to have the time or you're not going to want to put in the time to do it. So I'm going to focus in on the passive investments, because a passive investment is where all you're doing is you're taking some of your cash and you're putting it towards creating this machine that is printing you money without you physically having to go to work, because you're going to work to get paid. Now, you're getting this paycheck and you're going to take a piece of that paycheck and you're going to put it towards buying this machine that's going to print you money. Now, it's not an actual money printing machine because you can go to jail for that, but it's a kind of a theoretical machine that's going to print you money through your investments. The whole idea behind making money is the more value that you can provide to the marketplace, the more money you're going to make. That's why doctors earn more money than cashiers, because doctors provide more value to the marketplace than cashiers do. Now, this doesn't mean that your life is not valuable or that you're not a valuable person as a cashier. This just means in the economic marketplace, a doctor provides more financial value, so they attract more money than a cashier does. So now when it comes to your investments, the whole idea here is you want to put your money in a place that is going to create value or attract value. So you want to use your money as a tool to kind of create this value thing. That way it can continue to pay you without you having to physically work to continually build value. So maybe there's other people involved or there's a team involved where this machine is now working to build value and create value for you because you have put your money towards it and your time is out doing something else. The most accessible way to do that is by putting your money in the stock market, because the stock market is a place where you can go out and invest in big companies. So Amazon, McDonald's, Facebook, these companies trade on the stock market. So when you go out and you buy shares in a company like Amazon or McDonald's, you become one of the owners of Amazon or McDonald's. Now, you don't get to tell Amazon and McDonald's how to run the company, and you don't got to go to work for Amazon or McDonald's, but when these companies make more money, so do you. Maybe your stock price will go up, because if you buy a stock for $100 a share and it goes up to $200 a share and you sell it, you just made $100. The second way you can make money is through dividends. When a company like McDonald's has a whole bunch of cash in their bank account at the end of the year, they can take some of this cash and just give it away to the shareholders, people like you, investors, through dividends. And so these dividends are literally just cash payments that you get every 3 months, every quarter, for doing nothing except owning the right company. Between 1926 and 2018, the average return for the S&P 500, which is an index in the stock market, which all it means is it's a group that represents the top 500 companies in the stock market. This S&P 500 over those years grew by an average of 10 to 11% a year on average. This doesn't mean that every single year the stock market is going to go up by 10 to 11%. That means over the long run, the stock market has grown by 10 to 11% a year for almost the last 100 years. But this also includes the fact that sometimes you're going to have stock market crashes and other times you're going to have stock market rallies. Over the long run, you've seen the stock market grow by around 10% a year for the last century. So if the stock market continues to grow at its previous rates and you can just invest your money and even get a below average return, then retiring a millionaire is no problem, because you can just throw your money into the stock market and hopefully get the same returns, and boom, there you have it, the millionaire status. Except there's a couple issues with that. The first issue is many people do not believe that the stock market is going to continue to grow at the same rate that we saw happen over the last century, because our economy is a whole lot bigger, so it's not as easy for our economy to grow as fast as it once did, which is why we might not see the same returns in the stock market over the next century. The second issue is you got to know how to actually invest your money in the market, because if you just take your money and you randomly put it in some stocks, then that doesn't mean you're going to meet the stock market return, right? Because the S&P 500 is an average of 500 companies in the stock market. market. It's not the entire stock market. During the last century, you had a lot of stocks go bankrupt and go bust. And so if you invest in a company that goes bankrupt or bust, then you lose your money and you won't get these returns even though the stock market went up because the company you invested in went down. So now, given these circumstances, how can you still get a good return in the stock market if our economy isn't growing as fast as it once used to? And how do you invest your money in the stock market without worrying about the company you invested in going bankrupt? Let's start with this. When it comes to investing, you got to first understand the correlation between risk and return, because in general, you can get a better return if you're willing to take on higher risk. And so if the general stock market sees lower returns in the future, you can still try to get higher returns, but that might mean you have to take on higher risk. Now, one of the ways that you can mitigate risk, meaning lower the risk, is by having the right education and understanding what you're doing, because if you have more knowledge, then you can kind of lower some of this risk. But you got to understand, yes, you can still get higher returns, but you got to understand how to kind of manage this risk too. So the S&P 500 index, the one that I just talked about a minute ago, that was averaging 10 to 11% returns a year, the S&P 500 is a group of the 500 largest and most established companies in the stock market. And so when a company is large and established, it's not going to be able to grow as fast. And so if you want to get better returns, then you're going to have to invest in a company that's a little bit more innovative, that's trying to grow, because now these companies have more room to grow, because when a company is already large and it controls the entire market and it doesn't have that much more room to grow, it can't grow as fast. Versus a company that's smaller and trying to innovate and grow, there's a whole lot of room for opportunity, and so they can see much better returns. So if you're trying to get better returns, then you can't be making the same investment decisions that people were making 30, 40, 50 years ago, because back then in the 70s, if you wanted to invest your money, all you had to do was invest your money in the general stock market, and you knew the United States economy was booming, and you knew the United States economy had a lot of room to grow, and so these big established companies still had so much room for opportunity and growth, which allowed these easy general stock market funds to grow and boom, which allowed people to grow their money and compound their money very quickly. You might not have that same opportunity today just because our economy is so big and these companies are so big, they don't have the same room for growth as they once did, or at least that's what people think. And so if you want to continue to get that same growth, you got to be a little bit more innovative. That means instead of just investing in your traditional large blue chip companies and these funds that give you exposure to the general stock market, maybe you got to start looking at innovative companies or value companies or growth companies, because these are smaller companies that are kind of like more of your startups that have a lot of room for growth. Now, obviously there's more risk here, because if you're investing in a startup, there's a chance that this company will fail. But if you want to continue to get those higher returns, you got to start educating yourself here. That way you can make smarter decisions. That way you can get the better returns. Does it come with more risk? Yes, because you are never guaranteed to make money when you invest. You might even lose money. So make sure you always do your own due diligence and never blindly listen to a random guy on YouTube. Now, when it comes to actually investing your money and putting your money to work, there's a couple different ways that you can invest your money in the stock market. The first way is you can find individual companies to invest in. So you can go out and invest in individual companies like McDonald's or Tesla or Facebook or whatever. But when you invest your money in these companies, you take on all the risk, because if you invest your money in McDonald's and the McDonald's executives run the company into the ground and the company goes bankrupt, now your investment account is bust. So one of the things that you can do to protect yourself, especially if you're not planning on becoming a full-time investor, or if you don't plan on spending at least a few hours a week researching your investments, then one of the things that you can do instead of investing in individual companies is just invest in ETFs. An ETF is a fund that gives you exposure to a whole bunch of companies. That way now you don't got to worry about trying to be in the stock picking game, because you can invest in a fund that gives you exposure to a whole bunch of different companies. You can buy and sell shares of an ETF the exact same way you do stocks. The only difference between an ETF and a stock is when you invest your money in a stock, you get exposure to one company, but when you invest your money into an ETF, you get exposure to a whole group of companies. So kind of like what I talked about before. If you just wanted to get general exposure to the stock market, then you could invest in an ETF like VOO or SPY. Both of these ETFs give you exposure to the S&P 500, and both of these ETFs give you exposure to the top 500 companies in the stock market. Now, again, this goes back to the concern like we just talked about. Yes, this will give you exposure to the top 500 companies, but we just don't know if the stock market and our economy is going to be able to grow at the same rate that we saw happen over the last century. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But the thing that you have to understand about these is these typically come with less risk, because if the economy continues to grow, then chances are our big companies are going to continue to grow, which means chances are these funds are going to continue to grow. So less risk and less potential return, however, is more of a safer investment over the long term. Yes, you might see market crashes, which makes it kind of risky in the short term, but over the long term, if you believe in the United States economy, then these are generally kind of your safer investments. If you're looking for more value type investments where you can hopefully try to see bigger returns but also come with more risk, then you can look at investing in funds like ARKK, this is ARK, and QQQ. Again, these are just examples. Make sure you do your own due diligence, and as a quick disclaimer, I do have some of my own money in VOO and ARK. So these are a couple examples of ETFs that are trying to invest in more of your value companies, more of your innovative companies. That way you can hopefully see bigger returns over the long term. But again, it comes with more risk, so you got to do your own due diligence and understand how to balance it out. The key for this type of stock market investing to work is you got to understand that this is not a one-time investment that you're going to make. This is something that you got to keep consistently investing. Like I talked about that 15% rule earlier, where anytime you get paid, a portion of your paycheck is going to go directly to your investments. That way you're consistently investing a little bit of money. That way investments can compound here. Your money keeps growing here, and you keep adding fuel to the fire, because anytime you get paid, you're adding more money to the fire. You're adding more money to this machine that is working to make you more money. Before I move on to the next way that you can invest your money, if you do want to learn more about how to do this and how to create a passive system that where your money can automatically be invested, and how to find a brokerage that can do this for you for free, our team broke down how to do this on our website, theminoritymindset.com, and you can read that article by clicking the link in the description below. The second way that you can invest your money, which is actually my favorite way to invest my money, is by investing your money in real estate. The way real estate investing works is you can go out and you can buy a property like a house, and when you buy this property, so let's say this is me, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna buy this property. Gotta draw me a nice mustache. I go out and buy this property, and then I'm gonna rent this property out to somebody else. I'm not gonna live here. I'm gonna let this person come here, or their family. They're gonna live in this property. They're gonna use my house. They're gonna live there. And in exchange for them living in my property, every single month, they're gonna send me a $1,000 check, because that is their rent payment. And now out of this $1,000, I'm gonna use this to pay my taxes, my insurance, my maintenance, my management fees, my vacancy costs. And then if I have any debt on the property, it's also gonna pay some debt. And if I do this the right way, I'm gonna have some money left over every single month, and these profits go into my pocket for my investment. The thing that really differentiates real estate investing like this and investing in stocks like I talked about before is when I invest my money in real estate, I am looking for passive income. I am looking for cash flow. The most important thing here is not how much I think this property is going to be worth in 5 years or 10 years. In the stock market, that's what a lot of people are looking for. They're looking for companies that are going to be worth a whole lot more. That way they can sell their stock for a big profit. Here, I'm not really interested in that. The most important thing here is this cash flow. How much money do I gotta invest today, and how much money am I gonna make every single month? So it's a different investment strategy, because here, my goal is that passive income, it's that cash flow, and my investment goal is on a low end 7%, but typically I'm looking for an 8% annual return on my money. So if I invest $100 today, I want to get $8 back next year and the year after that, and on and on and on. So these are the type of returns that I'm looking for when I invest my money in real estate, and this is in the form of passive income or cash flow. The thing that makes real estate a little bit more difficult is in the beginning, while this is called passive income, it's really not passive, especially in the beginning, because you got to jump over this hurdle to understand how real estate investing works, and you got to find the team. I mean, you got to find your real estate agents, your property managers, your contractors, you got to work with city officials, and so if you don't know how any of that works, it's going to be a big time commitment, and you need a lot of capital. Like this property might cost you $100,000, so you're going to need either a lot of cash, you're going to go out to the bank and you got to borrow some money, versus if you're investing your money in the stock market, you can start with $100 and it only takes like 5 minutes. Here, buying a property can take you months. You have this element of non-passiveness because you gotta find the deals, you're gonna renovate them, you gotta get them leased out. But once you get the hang of things, and once you get this property ready to go, you can hand over the keys to a property management company, and then it can be fully passive if you know how to do it. And so it takes that hurdle to jump over, but once you jump over that, then it can be completely passive. Now again, the key here to succeed over the long term is to keep compounding your money. That means when you have this money growing in this real estate property, you got this passive income coming in, you can do a couple things with it. You can use this money to go out and go on a nice vacation, or you can reinvest this money to go out and buy a new property. So that means over the years, you're gonna save up some more cash to buy another property, and then you're gonna use this cash to buy you more properties as well. So this cash should help you, fuel you to buy more properties quicker. That way you can increase the amount of cash flow and passive income you have. So it's kind of this compound interest game, where it's how fast can you accumulate these properties and how fast can you grow this passive income. But now, once you understand all the things that I talked about, first you gotta understand the mental game, where you gotta stop living in your feelings and you gotta stop spending all your money. And then you gotta work on how to grow the pie. How can you attract more money that we have more money to invest? Then it's all about investing your money, and you gotta know your goals. Now you gotta invest your money into places where you're gonna grow your money. And now it's just a math question. Where can you invest your money? What type of returns can you expect? And how long is it gonna take you to hit that $1 million based off of how much money you're investing? Once you understand the whole system, then it's just a numbers game where you gotta just keep following the system, and you gotta just keep pumping your money into your investments. That way you can build this nest egg that's growing to make you wealthier. Now, before I get into the next clip, I do wanna let you know that if you are interested in learning more about how you can start generating passive income, our team has put together an amazing guide that walks you through different passive income strategies. That way you can start putting your money to work to start generating you passive income right now. So if you wanna read this guide for free, I got the link to how you can download this guide and get our free daily newsletter by using our link in the description below. I didn't grow up learning about money or investing. In my mind, money was something that you go to work to earn, and then it's something that you spend. The whole concept seemed really simple. I mean, in my mind, if I wanted to spend more money, I needed to earn more money. And if I wanted to earn more money, all I had to do was study harder in school and get better grades so I can get a better job. Now, I grew up in a traditional Indian house, and like most brown kids, I was told that if I wanted to become successful or become anything in my parents' eyes, I needed to become a doctor. So when I talk about getting a better job, I mean becoming a more specialized doctor, like a surgeon or something, because now you'll be able to make more money. Fortunately for me, I wasn't smart enough to be a doctor. Now I make money by talking about how I was supposed to be a doctor. But along the way, I started learning about money, and then my mind opened up to this brand new world of investing that I had never been exposed to before. Like, I had never heard of the word investing before this, and now I was learning that you can make money without having to physically go to work, and you can make a lot of money without even being a doctor. So for all you uncles and aunties watching this, yes, your kid can still become financially successful even if they get an A- in math. But before you or anyone can become financially successful, you gotta really start understanding investing, and you gotta understand how to invest your money the right way, which is why in this video, I wanna go over the 5 investing habits that really changed my life. But before I get into those, I need you to do me a quick favor and smash the thumbs up button below. The first thing you gotta do is you gotta stop wasting money when you don't have money to waste. When I was in high school, I worked a couple of different jobs. I worked at Auntie Anne's Pretzels in the mall, and I worked at weddings on weekends, and I was driving a Toyota Solara. And anytime I made money, I would use this money to improve my car or put some upgrades in my car. In my mind, money was something that needed to be spent, and what's a better place to spend your money than your car? And so I was on a mission to have the sweetest Toyota out there. First I got my windows tinted, then I upgraded my sound system, then I put in 2 12-inch subwoofers in my trunk, and then when I had some more money, I put in some brand new rims. Then the first time I had a few $1,000s in my bank account, I had a great idea. I was gonna upgrade my doors to not open like regular doors, that way my doors on my Toyota could open like butterfly doors like a Lamborghini. And so I found this guy that could upgrade my Toyota's doors for like $3,000, and I got so excited. So I called up my cousin, I told him I was gonna put butterfly doors on my Toyota Solara, and he was like, "Jaspreet, you're an idiot." After I had that talk with my cousin, I learned that apparently putting all this money in my car was a waste of money. Before you spend all your money on things that don't make you any money, like butterfly doors on a Toyota, you gotta use your money to buy things that make you money. The toughest thing about starting to invest your money is finding the money to invest. And you have so many people that will say, "Oh, I can't invest my money because I'm broke." But at the same time, they have the newest iPhone, they have this brand new MacBook, you're driving a brand new car, you have a Gucci wallet, you have a Gucci purse, and you're wearing all these fancy clothes, and yet you don't have the money to invest. Before you can really see any success in the investing world, you gotta stop spending money on things that aren't making you any money, and you gotta start spending your money on things that do make you money. Investments, assets. Everybody at one point or another, you too, not just me, I know you've done this too, have made this excuse that you don't have the money to invest, yet you're still spending your money on something that you don't need and that's not making you any money. You know what I'm talking about. Your BMW, your trip to Cancun, your Lululemon leggings, cars, your iPhone, your extra guac. If you haven't started investing yet, the first thing you gotta do is stop spending money on things that don't make you any money. That way you have money to buy things that do make you money. The second habit that changed my life was understanding that I could live off of my passive income instead of just my active income. Active income is the money you make from your job or your business. So every single day you go to work and then you get paid. This is your active income. If you stop working, you stop getting paid. Your passive income is when you make money and now you invest it into these things, these investments, and every month or every year these investments pay you. The nice thing about this passive money is it's passive. You don't got to go to work to earn it. You put your money into this thing and it's going to keep paying you again and again and again. The first real life-changing investment that I made was when I bought this condo out of foreclosure. It was a small condo and I fixed it up and I rented it out. And after paying all of my expenses, this condo started paying me $250 a month in passive income. This was money that I did not have to work to earn because I had a property management company doing all the day-to-day work. And so this $250 was being deposited into my bank account every single month, and this was profit after paying all of my expenses. Now, to be fair, in the beginning of my real estate investing career, it was anything but passive because I had to jump over this huge learning curve because I didn't have any guidance or mentorship when I got started as a real estate investor, and I had to learn everything on my own, and I made a whole bunch of mistakes. But after I jumped over that hurdle, then it became very passive, and this couple $100 was being deposited into my account every single month, and I didn't have to do any work to earn this money. And now my mind started thinking, if I could just amplify this, now I can have my passive investments pay for my life, and now I'm financially free because I don't have to go to work to earn a paycheck because my investments are paying for my lifestyle. At this point, it's all a numbers game. If I can make $250 in profit every month from one unit, if I have 10 units, that's $2,500 a month coming into my pocket every single month. If I have 100 units, that's $25,000 a month coming into my pocket passively that I don't have to work to earn. Now I just got to figure out how much money do I need to get these 10 units or these 100 units, and how do I actually go about doing that? This is where the majority of people look at their money all wrong. The majority of people think, okay, I'm making $40,000 a year from my job or $400,000 a year from my job, whatever it is. Now they're wondering, how big of a lifestyle can I live based off of my income? What I want you to do is think, okay, I'm making $40,000 or $400,000 a year. How many investments can I buy every single year? And how can I live off of my passive income instead of my active income? Because once your passive income is enough to cover your lifestyle, now you're financially free. You can do whatever you want. Your active income is just icing. Now you can use all of your active income and just use this money to buy assets. It doesn't have to be real estate, but you're using all of your active income to buy assets. You're living off your passive income, and every single year your passive income just keeps growing because you're taking your active income and you're using it to pump up your passive income. This is how wealthy people look at their money. The reason wealthy people make so much money is not just because they have a big salary, it's what they do with their money. The richest people don't make their money from their jobs, they make their money from their investments. And so what you ought to do is you got to start thinking like a wealthy person and start building up these assets and start building up these investments. That way now you're creating this passive income. Yeah, you're not going to make $1 million a year from your passive income in day one, but maybe you can start with $50 a month or $100 a month, and then you can start slowly building that up to now a lifestyle where you can live off of your passive income. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this, and I made a video on YouTube where I went over 25 different passive income ideas. If you want to watch that video, I'll link it for you in the description below. The third investment habit that really changed my life was understanding the value of my time. Growing up in a traditional Indian house, I learned to be very frugal. And as somebody who is frugal, you start to think, why would I want to pay somebody else to do something when I can just do it myself and save that money? When I started off in real estate, I had to decide, was I going to manage my investment properties myself, or was I going to have a property management company do it for me? Property management company's job is to make sure that your investment is completely passive. So they're doing all the day-to-day work and they're making sure you're getting paid. If you don't want to pay them, then you can do the management work yourself. It's just not as passive because now you got to make sure the tenant pays you. Anytime the toilet breaks, you got to go out and fix it, or you got to send somebody to fix it. And so you got to be more involved if you're going to be the manager yourself. If a home rents for $1,000 a month, a property management company is going to take $50 to $100 every single month to manage this property. But if I just do it myself, that's more than $1,000 that I can keep in my pocket every single year. but what I'm not valuing is my time. Because yeah, if I manage it, I can keep another $1,000, but I lose out on all that time. This is where I had to really dig down and ask myself, do I want to be in the management business or do I want to be in the investment business? Because if I want to be in the management business, then now I am paying myself an hourly fee to go deal with the tenants. But if I want to be in the investment business, now my time should be spent finding more real estate investment deals. That way I can grow the pot instead of just trying to figure out how I can cut some pennies out of my expenses. Time is your most valuable commodity, and it's the only resource that you cannot create more of. You can always get more money, but you cannot get more time. Once I started thinking like that, I stopped wasting money on things that I could hire someone else to do. That way I could focus my time on things that are going to bring me more value and make me more money. I don't manage any of my real estate. I hire a property manager to do that. I'm a licensed real estate agent, and so I can find real estate deals myself and I can write out the contract myself to buy the deals, but I don't want to spend all the time writing these contracts. So I partner with another real estate agent who splits the commission with me, and I just go find the deals and I tell them the offer. That way they do all the busy work. And I have multiple virtual assistants. That way I have other people managing my days and my emails. That way I don't got to worry about doing that. If I'm spending my time doing something that I can delegate or pay someone else to do, then I am wasting my time. I want to spend my time doing the things that are going to be the most valuable to me and do the things that are going to give me the best return. These are things that only I can do and no one else can do. Everything else I want to delegate to someone else. The fourth investment habit that really changed my life was understanding the long game. I think a lot of people, myself included, who get started investing kind of follow a similar plan. So you hear about this whole idea of investing and you get really excited, and then you start investing your money, and then you start hearing about these cool things like trading and day trading and penny stock trading, where you can make a lot of money very quickly. And so now you go from this idea of investing your money for the long term to build wealth to now trying to make this money almost overnight by trading your stocks into these riskier things that will hopefully make you money very quickly. That's when I got into day trading, and I was spending all of my free time looking at the stock market, trying to buy things and sell things and buy things and sell things and buy things and sell things. And I was always kind of living with this anxiety because I was just constantly staring at the stock market. And that's when I started to realize that this wasn't working because, well, I wasn't making any money. The investors that make the most money are the investors that play the long game, because now you have time on your side to let your investment grow and compound and make you more money. The reason why this is so hard for so many people is because it's not as cool or as hot as trying to be a trend investor, where now you're investing in the hot stocks that are booming right now and you're investing in all the names that are always on the news. But that is temporary. I mean, these are just trends. What's popular today might not be popular tomorrow or a year from now or 10 years from now. But if you're investing in something for the long term because you believe in the underlying value of this company or this investment or this asset, now you just want your money to grow and compound over time. My favorite place to invest my money is real estate. So I'm always looking for more real estate deals, but I also have some money in the stock market. And the way I invest my money in the stock market is a couple of different ways. One, every single month I have an automatic deposit where some of my money automatically goes into the stock market, into a few funds that I want to hold forever. And then I have some money in the stock market that's kind of like my more fun money, where I'm investing in more speculative things and more growth things. And this is money where I can be a little bit more active with. But the most important thing is you got to have that money to go towards the long-term investments that's just automatically happening, because that's where long-term wealth is built. I'm also a money nerd. I like researching companies, and I think I'm pretty good at it. I like reading financial statements and cash flow statements, and I like to study how companies are doing, which is why I also have the kind of fun money, if you want to call it, in the stock market, where I'm investing in individual companies that I think are going to grow in the future. You have to know yourself as an investor, and you got to know what your goals are, and you got to understand that the big money is made over the long term. And the fifth investment hack that really changed my life was understanding the value of learning. I went through these like weird phases in college, because in the beginning of my college career, I thought that college was necessary to become successful, and the better you do in college, the more money you're gonna make. And by the time I was leaving college, I was like, this is so dumb. Why did I spend all this money in college? Because I'm never going to use my college degree. Now, college has its place. I learned a lot in college, but the things that I learned in college were things that I found outside of my classroom, because I started a lot of business and started investing in college. And so that was really valuable for me. And so there's a lot of value in college, but this is where I started to have this kind of real debate into the value of education. Your education is the backbone for your success. But the thing that a lot of us get confused is we assume that education means college. But there's so much more to education than this college. And you have to have a good education if you want to become successful. But this education can come in the form of real life stuff, not just in the classroom. I learned how to be a good real estate investor by screwing up as a real estate investor. I talked about my worst real estate deal ever on YouTube, and this was the deal that that cost me the most money, and that was the deal where I learned the most as a real estate investor. If I got defeated and just started crying after that deal, then I wouldn't have gone anywhere. But I used that experience as lessons, and that taught me to be a much better investor. That way I can do bigger and better deals now. If you want to watch that video, I'll link it for you in the description below. I listen to books every single day. I don't like reading, so I listen to audiobooks. I learn from YouTube videos. I buy a bunch of online classes, and so I invest a lot of my time and money to learn. If you think you know everything, then chances are you know nothing. If you want to keep growing as a financially educated person or as an investor, you have to constantly keep learning. This might not be something you learn in the classroom, but these are things you can learn outside of the classroom by doing and by learning and by reading. So the 5 investment habits that really changed my life was 1, stop wasting money when you don't got money to waste. Understand that you can live off your passive income instead of just your active income. 3, understand that you gotta value your time. 4th, you gotta play the long game. And number 5, you gotta always keep learning. If you enjoyed this video, here's a video on passive income that I think you'll love, and while you're at it, join our free finance and business newsletter, and as always, keep hustling. Then when people buy candy, they buy pop, they buy these things from your vending machine, then you will get a percentage of the profits. Your job is to make sure the vending machine is full and make sure that you're getting paid. The nice thing about the vending machine business is